"Stop right there! You're under suspicion!" The officer's voice exploded through the aisles, loud enough to freeze every shopper in the store. The sudden eruption of authority echoed off the walls, turning casual glances into sharp stares. A single voice had shattered peace into chaos. But what no one knew in that instant was that this accusation, dripping with arrogance and injustice, would unravel into a moment of truth so powerful it silenced an entire city. Before I take you deep into this emotional story, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. Because what you're about to witness is not just shocking, it's unforgettable. The black woman had walked into the store with grace and dignity, dressed simply yet neatly, carrying herself with the quiet strength that only comes from a life of resilience. She came for something ordinary, groceries, necessities, nothing unusual. But in a world still stained with prejudice, her very presence was treated as suspicion. She did not know that her every step was being shadowed, her every movement monitored, not because of what she did, but because of who she was. The officer's footsteps thundered toward her. His uniform gleamed under the store's fluorescent lights, his badge flashing like a weaponized symbol of authority. Around them, whispers began to rise. Customers pulled out their phones. Some looked on in shock. Others smirked with silent approval, as if humiliation was entertainment. The woman froze, not out of guilt, but out of disbelief. She had been through battles the world could never see, battles of being dismissed, being ignored, being disrespected. But this moment was different. This was not quiet prejudice hidden behind fake smiles. This was open, public humiliation delivered by someone who believed the badge on his chest made him untouchable. The officer circled her, his face hard with suspicion, his voice cutting through the crowd as he pointed at her bag. And in those seconds, shame tried to creep in, as though her humanity had been placed on trial before strangers. The crowd leaned in, hungry for drama, their phones raised like vultures circling over prey. But what no one realized, not the officer, not the gawking customers, not even the woman herself, was that hidden above them, the silent cameras were recording everything, every step, every word, every gesture, and those cameras would reveal a truth that could not be silenced. The accusation escalated, the officer pulling her closer, standing taller, throwing the weight of authority against her silence. Her dignity was stripped in real time, her identity reduced to suspicion. And yet, within her, a quiet fire began to burn. She did not scream, she did not beg. She stood rooted in quiet strength, her eyes steady even as humiliation swirled around her. The store manager appeared, caught between appeasing the officer and calming the crowd. But the damage was already done. The whispers had turned into murmurs, the murmurs into judgment. To them, she was already guilty. That is how prejudice works. It convicts before it considers. It condemns before it listens. Minutes felt like hours. The officer's accusations grew harsher, the crowd's curiosity sharper. But then came the shift. A worker from the back emerged, carrying something that would change everything. In his hands were the surveillance tapes, pulled directly from the store's cameras. The truth was about to be laid bare for all to see. The cameras revealed what prejudice had blinded. The woman had walked through the aisles with calm purpose, selecting items carefully, paying at the counter with patience. Not once had she stolen, not once had she concealed anything. Her every action had been honest, ordinary, human. And yet, she had been branded a thief. The crowd's gasps filled the air as the truth unfolded on the screen. The officer's arrogance began to crumble. His voice, once booming with certainty, faltered under the undeniable weight of evidence. He had accused, humiliated, degraded, and he had been wrong. The woman stood unmoved, her dignity unshaken, though her heart carried scars no camera could heal. She had been shamed, her innocence questioned, her humanity dismissed. And though the truth vindicated her, the pain lingered. For the cameras revealed not just her innocence, but the cruelty of a system that still viewed her skin as guilt. The store erupted, not with applause, not with celebration, but with silence. The kind of silence that burns, the kind that forces reflection. The officer stepped back, his authority stripped, his power hollow. The crowd, once eager to judge, now looked away, ashamed of their own complicity. But the story did not end in that store. The footage spread beyond those walls, carried onto social media, into homes, into headlines. Outrage followed, voices rose, debates raged. The incident became more than humiliation. It became a mirror to society, exposing how easily justice is corrupted by prejudice. The officer faced consequences, his career unraveling, his name stained not by the woman he accused, but by the truth the cameras revealed. The store, too, faced backlash, forced to answer why silence had allowed injustice to unfold so publicly. And the woman? She walked forward, not seeking revenge, not basking in pity, but carrying herself with the same dignity she had walked in with. Because dignity is not granted by others. It is not erased by false accusations. It lives within, unshaken by arrogance, untouched by hate. And so, her story became more than survival. It became a lesson that truth always finds its way, that cameras may capture more than faces. They capture reality. They expose lies. They hold the powerful accountable. What began as humiliation ended as revelation. What began as prejudice ended as justice. And what began as one woman's pain became a message to the world. Racism may accuse, but truth defends. And if you've stayed until this point, you understand the weight of this story. Stories like this are not just for watching. They are for remembering, for sharing, for keeping alive so that injustice never goes unnoticed. Hit that subscribe button right now, turn on the notification bell, and join this community where we tell the stories others try to silence. Because the next story will not just shock you, it will change the way you see the world. Don't miss it.